won't you just? Now won't you just? So come on.
We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45. So won't you take a ride?
Just come on.
With me, baby. We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45. We're cruising down 45.
We thank you for all our many blessings, Father God, as our head is bowed and our hearts are humble. God, we thank you for everything that you have done and everything that you're about to do. We just ask you through this podcast to speak to the hearts of many. Let them be blessed, let them be educated, and you do what is needed to be done through us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I say, hey, what's going on, universe? I'm back, 45 Live Podcast. I am J-45, the host of the show, Mr. Key to the City, Everything Pretty, the host of the Gulf Coast, the Alabama hippie, east of the mighty muddy Mississippi. We right here brought to you by Alabama Radio, a new way to listen. And we right here on 45 Live Podcast, keeping it real and mobile on the people's platform. And we got my guest today, Patricia Reed. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
And I got my my co-host back, Bama Rose. She's been enjoying her birthday and everything. So happy belated birthday to Bama Rose, the icon of the South. And today we're going to be talking about mental health, relationships, and domestic violence, since this being Domestic Violence Month. And also, it is also Breast Cancer Month. So, we're here representing for the survivors of breast cancer and also the ones who have perished to breast cancer. And as you can see, I got the merch going on. I got the 45 Live trucker hats and also got the Miss 45 shirts. Hit me up. You know what I'm saying? They're all $20 a piece. You get 2 for $35. You get a shirt and a half for $35. Mix and match. You know what I'm saying? So holler at me. You want to support the podcast. Now we want to get into our topic about mental health. I know Patricia Reed, that's her occupation, and we're going to get into that. But one thing I want to tell everybody, she has her own podcast, which is Journey with Trish, which I was a guest on for Juneteenth, and I was honored to be on the show. And she is a big inspiration for 45 Live Podcast because me being her show made me like I need to get on my you know what and then have my own show too. So I appreciate her for that inspiration. Trish, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your occupation, and what are your goals, and how life has been treating you lately and all that good stuff.
Life has definitely been treating me fabulously. Definitely blessed and highly favored. But I am Patricia Reed, a.k.a. Miss Hija Jimenez, affectionately known across all social media platforms. I do have that podcast, Journey with Trish. Professionally, by trade, I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Been doing that for about 6 years now, but worked in mental health as an RN for many, many years. So mental health is definitely, my love. And I enjoy doing it.
Absolutely, and this is the dialogue that we need mostly in our community. The people of color community. We talk about getting checked for diabetes and high blood pressure, but we never talk about mental health. We see a lot of mental health issues in our community that's not being diagnosed, and instead of it not being diagnosed, they're either people with mental health issues, they're either thrown in jail or they're around here homeless. It's a sad situation. So how do you feel about how we can make this more of a thing in our community to express and expand the dialogue on it?
So I will say, the conversation has increased a whole lot over the past few years. Social media has done a good job.
Absolutely.
As far as getting the word out there, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to speak to a therapist. It's okay to acknowledge the fact that depression and anxiety are real. I always say I like to bridge the gap between faith and medicine. I do believe that with the church being the cornerstone of the community, that it is where we need to start. I would
Okay.
like to see more churches host more. They have a lot of health fairs, but more churches actually have mental health based events to bring people in the community. For so long, it's still a stigma in the black community, and especially when it comes to church, because we're told to pray about it. We don't have to pray away high blood pressure. We can take medicine for that, but if you're depressed or anxious, just pray about it. And so we definitely need to start, I believe, there to get the word out. Schools are doing a better job at bringing in, at Alabama, Kalinsky Adams has a nonprofit. I can't think of the name of his nonprofit organization right now, but they also do a good job at going into the schools and hosting. You remember what the name of that event is?
Opportunities for
entertainers. But they also have mental health speakers that come in during those events as well. So that's where we need to start, so we can get it more into the home.
Absolutely. You had an event on the 27th, and I want you to talk more about that. How did you come up with that event, the vision for it, and how did it turn out?
So I started podcasting by chance. I was just going live all the time. I have a nonprofit called Help the Sister out here in Alabama. We're about to, close it out as I move on to Texas. But with that, I was going live every once in a while. And then DJ Tech, I forget what, but he had his own studio. And he was doing podcasts out of there. And I just liked the bright, pretty white walls. And so I said, I just want to go live over there one day. Went over there and I enjoyed it. And one of my friends in the store was like, I watch your podcast sometimes. I might not comment, but I do watch. And I was like, I got a podcast? And so from there, I just kept doing it. And I went back every Tuesday night. And my nonprofit, the vision for my nonprofit is to overcome social anxiety in women of color, one event at a time. And so Journey with Trish became Overcoming Social Anxiety and Women of Color, one podcast at a time. And so we touch on many different topics. Everything that we do in our everyday life revolves around our mental health.
Absolutely.
And it can be marriage, it can be work, it can be relationships, children, family, driving on the highway, road rage, all of those have to do with mental health. So fashion, if you dress better, you feel better. If your hair's done, you feel better.
You clean your house good.
Yeah, you feel better. You feel
house.
better. And so whatever our topics are, I just make sure I always tie it in to mental health. So before I am getting ready to move to Houston next.
Oh, we're going to miss you.
On October 11th, I'll be moving to Houston. So I'll be doing the podcast out there. But I wanted a way that I could thank my guests and also my audience, because without an audience, I wouldn't have a podcast.
That was very sweet of you to do that.
Yes, I wanted to be able to give back to them. So I was like, you know what? Let me have a live podcast with a live studio audience.
Oh, wow.
And so I brought in former guests and also followers of the podcast, whoever, my top fans were or the most interactive. Those were the ones that I brought in to the show. And it was amazing. And it was my after party, too. We had a time.
Okay. DJ Tech, he's the no sit-down DJ. And so you had a nice event. I'm glad. I couldn't make because I had to work. I tried to take off, but we were short-handed at work, so...
It's okay. It just means you're going to have to come all the way out to Houston.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. I love Houston. Shout out to Trio Burgers. They got to give me some when I get out there. Okay, let's talk about maybe like your personal life. Like I know I did some research with your bio saying that you've been through domestic violence yourself and sexual abuse. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Absolutely. I guess I can start off with, sexual abuse. I was molested by two cousins starting at the age of 9 years old. And it was something that I carried with me into adulthood. Definitely took that baggage into relationships, and not just like into friendships, into what's the word I'm looking for? Like romantic relationships, into my marriage. You
Like lack of trust,
not being able.
lack of integrity.
I definitely became, like, I always call myself an Oprah case. Like, I definitely was that girl who, because, I never had the opportunity to say I was going to give away my virginity. It didn't really mean anything to me. Mm-hmm. And so it made me very promiscuous, very untrusting. I had abandonment issues. I was always looking for somebody to break up with me. So I would try to beat them to the punch. And it became like, I always thought the only thing that you want from me is sex. So let me go ahead and give it to you, and then you can just leave me alone. So even people that really and truly wanted to be in relationships with me, I would push them away because that's all I thought that they wanted. Mm-hmm. My body became, like, not important to me. It definitely played a role. Like I said, in my adult life too, I became very angry a lot. I say I went from couch to chair because it wasn't until I finally went and saw a therapist and started to work on, some of my demons is definitely what they are, that I was able, and I was even already a nurse. Like, I was a nurse, I was working in mental health, but I was still depressed. I was still angry. I was still fighting and lashing out at everyone. Then my parents got sick, and so that made me more angry, and then my parents died. Both of them about 8 months apart. And so I just carried around a lot of anger with me throughout my life, and it has been this journey with Trish, never would I have thought that it would lead me to where I am. I knew that I was trying to work on myself. I always say, when I'm blogging in the morning, don't take it personal. Don't think I'm calling anybody out. Because as I minister to you, I minister to myself. Mm-hmm. And so I was literally trying to work myself through these things. Whatever I say in the morning is because I prayed and God has given me these things, and it's something that He's working me on them. And then I choose to share what He gave me because I know somebody else has to be going through, the
Your
same thing that I'm going through.
Absolutely.
And I can't tell my testimony without telling my trials,
And that's very brave of you.
As far as domestic violence, my first episode with domestic violence was actually when I was about 14 years old, somewhere I have no business being, and I was dating a guy who was much older than me.
How much older?
He was, I believe, I was 14, I think he was 19 or 20.
Oh, okay.
And maybe even a little bit older, but I found out that he was actually in a relationship. And my friends lived in the same building with him, and I was dating somebody else, but he was my age, like 14, 15 too. But he came down there and saw that I was with this guy and pulled a gun on me.
The older guy? Oh, wow.
He did, and threatened to shoot me in both of my kneecaps. So the crazy thing is, at that point, I wasn't really worried about my kneecaps. I was worried about how in the world am I going to explain to my mama, that I'm here when I'm not even supposed to be here. And so that taught me a lesson there, as far as go where you say you're going, be where you're supposed to be, and always tell somebody, where you are. Even if you're keeping it from your parents, you need somebody that you can say, hey, this is where I am. From there, my next relationship would have been, I would say 17 years old was my next domestic violence relationship. And even though I came from a family, my parents were well off, I'm not going to lie and say I have this, like, Cinderella story because I don't. And I was dating somebody, and my birthday was about to come up, and he was always like, he cursed a lot. It's the reason I curse so much is from being around him. But we were walking in Dillard's one day, and he took his hands. I don't even know what I did, but he took his hands and like put them behind my neck and dared me to say anything. If you say anything, I will choke the. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. Yeah, in public. That was the crazy thing. In public at Dillard's. And I still ask myself to this day, why didn't you say anything? You're in Dillard's. There's other people in Dillard's.
Right.
You know, how far do you think? Yeah, how far do you think he would go in Dillard's? So that was my next experience. And do you know I still say with him? My birthday was about to come up. And that's when Dooney and Burks were like real hot back then.
Oh,
remember
yeah,
those purses?
the duck.
Yeah.
The duck purse.
And he had promised me that he was going to buy me one of those purses for my birthday. And I actually stayed with him even after that for the sake of being able to get this purse. Even though at any point I could have went to my parents and said, I want this purse. You know, they weren't very expensive purses, but I did. And then afterwards, when we broke up, he couldn't take that we had broke up. I remember him coming over my house, and like my parents were there, so he couldn't jump on me, so he kind of beat himself up. Yeah, he took a shovel and started beating himself in the head with the shovel in my yard in front of me. But better him than me. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And he brought up that purse, and I went in the house and got that purse and gave him that purse and like, that's it, you know. I don't want nothing. And from that day, it's hard. Yeah, and I teach my kids, don't take things from people, you know, for the sake of, if you don't want to be with them, don't take things from them.
Right. There's a lot that goes around. You know, a lot of people stay in relationships that are domestic violence going on because he's able to provide. You know, and that leaves a lot of people out here vulnerable, leads to death. I love you to death. If I can't have you, can't nobody have you.
Absolutely.
And you have to, you know, be mindful of those things. Bama Rose, have you had any, you know, domestic violence episodes that you might want to share? Oh yeah, you probably beat him up. You probably give him the domestic violence. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, that's a real big issue in our community. You know, we have a lot of broken relationships. You got you know, women out here that still stand with the guy, like I said, because he providing, but still you got a black eye, but you don't know how to let him go. You know what I'm saying? What would be like your advice to women that might be in that, you know, situation as we speak?
So I've been giving advice on this for the past few years, and it took that for God to really open my eyes on my situation, because the first I married my now ex-husband. I married him twice, and in our first marriage, he was abusive. But I would
make excuses.
It's not that I would kind of like it wasn't that bad, because he would get upset and like he would take his hands and put them around my neck. To this day, people wonder why I'm always, because I don't want nothing around my neck. I rarely wear something that buttons up around my neck or a turtleneck around my neck. Yeah. So he would frequently do that. Now, he's never closed, like, to try to actually, it was always like an intimidation thing. And so I guess I started making excuses like, oh, well, you know, he's never, like I'm saying it now, like, well, he's never like actually choked me. He just took his hands and put it there to threaten me. At any point, had I moved, like, I have a brother-in-law who, I'll be totally honest, at our engagement party, I don't think I've ever told this story, but at our engagement party, he got upset and put everybody out of the house. And after he put everybody out of the house, he kind of pinned me up in the hallway. And as he had me in the hallway up against the wall with his hands around my neck, my brother-in-law walked in. And so he and I became very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And because to me, I was like, you know what, like you saved my life,
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always been very appreciative. But that wasn't, like, that went on for many years, even after we divorced. And then we finally, when we got back together, because I felt like that part was over, we moved in a new house because he said he didn't want to move back in the whole old house because there was too many bad memories there. And like 2 weeks into it, I found myself laying on the bed with him over me, And that day I was like, I can't do this no more. And I had a lamp, a green lamp, a brown shade, I'll never forget it. And it was like the ceramic at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the lamp and I said, I swear to God, if you don't get over me, I'm gonna bust your ass over the head with this lamp. And he did not move, and I hit him in the head with the lamp.
Wow.
And he just kind of, it was the weirdest thing. It was like he had real, because that is a thing to like zone out when you have, because he also has PTSD. He came from a family, where his dad was abusive. And so that is where, like, that's the main point I want to get out there. If you are a woman who is a fixer, I'm a nurse, and I'm now a nurse practitioner. I'm a mom. I'm always trying to help people. I'm always trying to fix people.
You're a nurturer.
Yeah, a nurturer. And so I always say when somebody starts putting out these red flags, I can fix that. I can fix that. And so my entire marriage, both times, was me trying to fix him. And I turned 49 years old, and I don't know what woke up inside of me, but at 49 years old, I really like sat down and took a look back at my life, and like wondered, was I really, really happy? And I really was happy. But when I asked him, was he happy? He said that he was not happy. He said, it's not that I'm not happy with you. I'm not happy with me.
Himself.
Yeah. And it was at that point that I decided, if I hadn't been able to fix you, if I hadn't been able to make you happy, and we just celebrated 25 years of marriage.
Oh, 25 years.
If I haven't been able to help keep you happy in 25 years, it's not something that I think I'm ever going to be able to do. And I'm no longer, like, I finally decided that it's not my responsibility. People are responsible I'm responsible for my own happiness. Now, we're both responsible for keeping the relationship happy, right?
Yeah, right.
But personal happiness, I can't make you happy, J-45. You got to do that, And so my birthday was March 8th. March 17th, like, it all kind of came to a head. And
so y'all
June
recently
29th, I was fully divorced.
Oh, wow.
Just that quick.
I didn't know that recent. Wow.
Just that quick.
Second time.
The second time.
Wow.
What made you want to get on the second time? Just curious.
You want me?
Well, you just said it. Or it's something else.
I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I felt like the domestic violence would have stopped. I did have 2 small children. 3. I had 1 15-year-old and then 2 small children at that time. And I was going back to nursing school, and I needed help. And so I felt like I did what I had to do to, raise my family. But I did absolutely
so
try
he was
to
a good
make
provider.
it work. He absolutely was a good provider. He was a great dad. He just wasn't a good husband.
This wasn't a good husband. There's a lot of that going around too. Do you think it may be something that his father had that pretty much, you know how they say the apple don't fall too far from the tree, like some kind of mental trait that he picked up from his pops?
Trauma, but I can't keep making excuses,
Right.
For his trauma. He had to go and still needs to go and address his trauma because I tried to do it for him.
So he never went and got help? Never dealt with it.
No, never. I think one time he went to counseling for a couple weeks, but never really stuck to it. And I would encourage him to go, and we've even gone to marital counseling before.
Did y'all ever go to church? Like,
yeah, we had just started back. I just went back to church about 2 years ago, because like a part of I do have some church trauma as well. So I left church for a long time, and I went back to church about 2 years ago. Didn't pressure him, just kind of kept going and kept encouraging him, and he then started coming to church too. Actually, he got diagnosed with cancer. About a couple years ago, and he beat that. I helped him through that, and he was going to church, and then feel how we get better, and then we just kind of fall off from going. But sometimes you feel like I should just not even went back to church. I feel like my life fell apart when I went back to church.
Well, of course,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I tell my kids. Like, Satan makes you believe, like, But I mean, people ask me the three things I'm gonna miss. One of them is gonna definitely be my church.
Okay. What church do you attend?
Restoration Fellowship Ministries in Daphne.
Okay.
That's a Starling
King.
King.
Baldwin County girl. Got Baldwin County in the building.
Born and raised in New York.
Oh yeah.
Here when I was 15.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you this: when you came to Mobile, was it a culture shock to you?
Not so much a culture shock, because my family was here, so I was here like in the summer times.
Oh yeah.
So I already had friends, that I was coming to. Well, in Fairhope, because that's where my family was, but we moved to Loxley. And Robertsdale High School. Now that's where the culture shock came. I grew up, like I said, in the Bronx. The only time I ever even saw
the concrete jungle.
Yeah, the only time I even ever saw white people in New York was when I went to Manhattan for school on Saturdays. So it was very shocking. I'll tell you a story in New York, and I'm being honest, like Spanish people, Puerto Ricans, and black people, like we consider ourselves like one.
People of color.
Yeah, one people of color. So the N-word was like used frequently.
Yeah.
So I came down here, and I was standing around, and two black girls got in a fight with two white girls. And one of the white girls called her the N-word.
Oh, no.
And I was just standing there, because even though she was white, I'm still seeing, Puerto Rican. And I saw everybody, and that became a brawl. And so finally I was like I just threw down my book bag and started fighting too. It's it just dawned on me, oh wow. Like, she's not Puerto Rican, and she just called us the N-word. So yeah, that was my first ever experience with racism.
Really? So you never experienced it in New York?
I was so grand.
Wow, that's something else.
Now I have friends who lived in neighborhoods called Throgs Neck, where there was a more integrated neighborhood, and they said that they did, but me, I didn't experience it.
Oh, okay. So you going to Houston on us now? So what you got going on in Houston? Got you a new job or?
So I work from home. I just got to pack up my laptop and take it with me. That's gonna be the easy,
nice.
The easy part. It's been a great transition. I've wanted to move to Houston since 2013. Looked at houses back in 2013, but my mom was sick and my dad needed help with her, and then my dad got sick. He actually ended up passing away before.
So this recently happened?
My mom did. My dad died in October of 18. My mom died June of 19.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I stayed for them, and then after both of them passed away, I had been talking to my ex-husband about moving, but he wouldn't really ever get serious about it. And so, like I said, when all of this came to a head, I just kind of said, well, I'm going to move to Houston, but I'm going to go by myself.
By yourself?
By myself.
You're not going to take the kids?
My baby is at Alabama, and so she'll stay there and finish, and then she'll come to Houston on breaks and stuff. Okay. My middle child is 23, and my oldest is 31, and they share a house. They live together. They're roommates.
You don't look like you got kids that old.
I told you I'll be 50. I'll be 50 in March.
Yeah, you don't look it. You don't look it at all.
So I'm excited. And
Yeah, you are beautiful. That's great.
thank you.
She's gonna be in a big old city by herself.
Moving out of a 3,000 square foot house to a 1,200 square foot apartment, and I'm so excited
Sounds so
about
good.
that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I mean,
about
just
that.
coming from all of that, just sound good. Just a fresh start.
No furniture, no nothing. I'm just
Oh, it's
in the-
already furnished? Okay.
No,
Oh, you gonna bring your furniture?
no.
from-
I sold everything except the bedroom set I'm still sleeping in. I sold. My house is empty.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
taking my clothes. I still gotta get a U-Haul. It's ridiculous for my clothes and my shoes.
Oh yeah, I
But
can
I'm not taking
understand that.
anything.
Yeah, I got so many clothes. I had to go to the JCPenney's. They went out of business. They had a liquidation sale. Had to buy me a couple of racks to hang my clothes on because I didn't have none to fit in the closet. So
That's amazing.
it
I'm
is
excited
amazing.
about my fresh start.
Amen.
People ask me what I'm gonna do. Whatever God tells me. I'll
Amen.
figure it out
Absolutely.
when I get there.
Absolutely. So are you gonna continue doing your podcast?
Absolutely. Journey with Trish is about to take Houston. EHA takes Houston. That's what I say.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and I think you're going to have better opportunities out there, you know what I'm saying? It being a big, wide city, and you're going to be doing a lot of good networking.
Yes, I can. I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited for you. We're going to miss you, though.
I'm gonna miss y'all. I don't know. I thought I was gonna come back quite frequently, but I don't think. I think
Mardi
it's probably
Gras.
gonna be a while. I will be back for a second liners. I gotta do that.
Okay.
And I think that's the only one.
Shout
I
out to
usually
the
do about
second
3 or
liners.
4, but I'm just gonna do that one ball this year.
Okay, second liners. Yes, indeed.
So I won't be back till January.
January, yeah, that's my birthday month. They usually have their ball around my birthday. My birthday is January 16th.
Oh yeah, day after.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking
What were your thoughts on Diddy and everything that's going on with Diddy? We know what he did was horrific.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts on everything that's happening with Diddy?
Yes, sir.
That's all you say. If Kathy was dark skinned, it wouldn't even have been
I believe that. Absolutely horrific, indefensible. But the response from the black community, Envy and Charlemagne, I believe is somewhat hypocritical. And the reason I say that is 40% of domestic abuse victims are black women. Black women are being beat on by on a regular basis. The femicide rate for black women is going through the roof. A black woman is 3 times as likely as any other woman to be murdered by her lover. Black or white. Y'all saw what happened with the sister in Milwaukee. 19-year-old black sister, about a month or 2 ago, went on a date with a 33-year-old Caucasian man. He killed her, dismembered her, spread her body all over the city. This is recent. And then you had a little 17-year-old sister down in Cape Coral, Florida. She walking back from the movies with her 2 friends, and a white boy just pulled over, gets out the car, and murders her in broad daylight. And I ain't got to show you all the murders of black men, what we're doing to our own women. I just saw one the other day where the brother killed his children, killed the woman, killed himself. Those are not typically black crimes. We don't normally do that kind of stuff. We don't crash out like that, but we are now because the spiritual foundation of African people and the emotional wellness of African people is beginning to erode because we have bought into the ideology of material consumption that American capitalism has pushed on us. And we believe being happy and being whole and being psychologically healthy means owning and earning. So we equate health, psychological health, which how much do I make and how much do I earn and how much do I own? And that is not the foundation upon which African spirituality rests. We are a people where relationships are the most important thing to African people. Relationships, not what you earn, what you drive, and what you wear. But we bought into that, and as a result of that, we are suffering from a spiritual famine. We are a spiritually infamished people, and we're not recognizing it. And this is why rich blacks, as well as poor blacks, are equally likely to commit suicide or crash out on somebody else and take their life. So my thing is, when are we going to get back to valuing relationships and people more than the things that we own? That is a very big problem with us.
So back to Diddy. What's your thoughts?
Back to Diddy. It's hypocritical, Envy, because when I look at the amount of black women who are abused in the community, and I look at the amount of black people who turn the other cheek to this. Being a therapist, I see these things. Black women being abused in the church. They're being abused in the temple. They're being abused in the masjid. They're being abused in the college. Teenage girls are being abused in their homes by their boyfriends. So I see all these black people snapping out on Diddy, as they should. He was wrong. But you didn't snap out on your son when he smacked his girlfriend up in front of your face. You didn't snap out on your brother when he choked out his fiance. You didn't even you didn't snap out on your husband when he snapped out on you. So Diddy can be exposed and humiliated and shamed and embarrassed, but not the men in your life. When your son beats on his wife, when your uncle, when your cousin, when your frat brother, when your pastor is guilty of doing the same thing Diddy did, it gets a pass. But when Diddy does it, he has to be exposed. I don't like the double standard that we have. I don't like this hypocritical outrage at Diddy, but we don't see the same thing in the black community. For example, how many domestic abuse shelters have we opened since the Cassie Diddy film came out? If with that outrage, all these single black women being abused with children, right? How many celebrities or regular black people have opened up domestic abuse shelters? How much money has Black America donated to the fight against domestic abuse in our community?
I mean,
Speaking of the Port City Second Lounge, we got the Port City Classic coming. You know, on November 2nd, we got a lot of activities going on.
I actually did a podcast for them there last year. I was there.
Oh, you did? Uh-huh.
I was the first female to ever host a podcast at the Port City Classic.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you know, support your HBCUs. Like we got all these events going on. Up until November the 2nd, we got the golf tournament, we got the business mixer, we got the alumni mixer that Friday, and then we got a comedy show that night, the cheerleader clinic, and then the parade. Sherry McDay will be the Grand Marshal, and of course we got the game kicking off at 3 p.m. Alabama State against Alcorn. That should be a good game. Just don't tailgate. Go out there and support this game. Go in the stand. Let's fill the stands up. And I'm challenging all businesses and organizations to sponsor a youth football team or just some students in school so they can go to the game and get an HBCU experience they never had before and encourage them to attend an HBCU. Because like I can say this 100 times, when I was in high school, I went on a trip to Jackson State, and so I went to a Jackson State game, and it just made me want to go there. I'm representing my alumni at Jackson State University, the Sonic Boom of the South. So just go out there, support the Port City Classic, November 2nd. Bama Rose.
Yes.
So, how you feel about domestic violence and relationships that's going on in the community, or that you've seen with your family, with your daughters and your son?
Well, my daughters really haven't experienced too much of that. But you know, my son was given 25 years in prison for falsely accused. Well, he was falsely accused of shooting his son's mother in her head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In April 2020, my son, his name was Quintarius Williams. The girl name was Ramika King. And they said that he shot the girl in her head. And I went to the scene and I seen her and she was up. You know, I even went to the hospital. She was released maybe about 3 hours later. And I was trying to figure out like what was going on, because like you got shot in your head, you know what I'm saying? Like really what's going on. And coming to find out, she was mad at him about a situation that happened where he didn't buy the baby nothing for Easter. Wow. And they started fighting, and they had been fighting for like 3 days. And she even came in my house, took his clothes, took his TV and went where he was at and threw his stuff everywhere. And
over Easter clothes.
I actually stopped buying my children for like 4th of July, I stopped buying. Like I don't buy new clothes for the 4th, Easter.
None of that.
Yeah, because I remember asking my oldest daughter's father for money for some 4th of July clothes, and he told me he had to buy him. No. I asked him for child support, and he couldn't give me any money for her because he had to buy an outfit and shoes
For himself?
for himself for the 4th. So I don't even.
You got to be kidding.
No, that's
how
a true story.
How old is this person?
Well, I had my oldest daughter when I was 19, so we were in our early 20s.
Oh well, yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, if you was like 30 or 40, that's a problem. But yeah, when you like in your 20s and early teens, well, I ain't say late teens, you are kind of selfish. You know what I'm saying? You have to grow out of that. You know.
But that's what the altercation started about, and my son had met this girl and she was really pretty, and you know he had went to Houston, he had started rapping and he was doing this little thing or whatever, and she was mad. You know, she was mad and she was trying to finish him, and she ended up going to the police precinct, and they let her swear a warrant, saying that he shot her in her head. Is what happened. And throughout the course, you know, I got him attorney and everything, and when we got the hospital paperwork, it said that she had a laceration, meaning her head was cut, you know, and it was in a spot where she had been previously shot in 2010. So she had a bullet in her head.
So she just made a whole other story.
Old gunshot wound.
2010. And I got the hospital paperwork. And scratched her head and made it seem like he shot her. And the detective, he went to the hospital. His name is Detective Martin from Patricia Police Department. He went to the hospital and they told him that she did not get shot. But he didn't press charges that day, because had she been shot in her head, he could have pressed charges. So he didn't. But they allowed her to come 10 days later and put a warrant out for his arrest. And they put that warrant out for him, saying that, you know, and it went like the affidavit and everything was forged. You know how when somebody is indicted on a grand jury charge, you know, they have to sit before like I think 14 people or something like that. His had happened during COVID, and it wasn't no settings. Like you couldn't come in and do none of that type of stuff. Everything was being delayed. So it's like it was bound over the grand jury like April but like May the 6th or June the 6th, and on June the 9th, the grand jury had picked the case up, and that was impossible. But it's a lot going on, because we found out that the district attorney that was handling his case, he had beat his wife previously, and he had picked my son's case up, and he was trying to like make a name for himself. So they did a whole lot of illegal stuff. But now we in federal court about it. And they let her lie, saying this boy shot her. And she really went on with this lie, you know, and they gave him 25 years in prison. And she ain't hurt, got out the hospital in 3 hours, no follow-up visits, no nothing.
So is he out now?
No, he got 25 years. This happened a couple of years ago, but we fighting it through federal court, you know. A year after that, she had a bad car accident. And now
I don't like ugly.
And she is like, and I ain't gonna say a vegetable state, but like she got a trach in her neck, like she's bad off, you know. Like she may have got shot back then, you know, but it happened like maybe a year and a half after that. But yeah, they had him all on the news like he had really shot the girl, and they seen the hospital paperwork showed that she did not get shot, and it showed the date that she did. It said, you know, where on the hospital paperwork where it shows where you have any previous
medical history,
and it shows bullet enlarged in her head, and it had the date on now, and it said 2010, and in 2010 my son was maybe about 10. So they lied, and they also used that in court. And the district attorney, he forged the records and stuff. I mean, it was horrible. I never seen nothing like it before in my life. They wouldn't let us in the courtroom. They locked us out and everything, you know.
Wow. So how long is, so we fighting appeals right now? Like,
no, actually, he lost his appeals. because the attorney that we hired, which was Christine Hernandez, she ended up working for them because it was a lot of people that was involved. It was a lot of, like, the judge would have got in trouble. So many people would have got in trouble because they broke so many laws and so many rules. So
a lot of perjury
right.
going on.
So she turned on us. And then, like, for the appeal and stuff, they had certain, the circuit courts and stuff like that, in the appeals office, they had certain judges that they sent it to in order for it to be denied, and they held it and waited on the time to pass and made it seem like, oh, we seen him the information, but he didn't file in time and different stuff. They did it twice. So yeah, we fighting it now. It's rough, but it'll be okay. Like, God already showed us it's gonna be a positive outcome. He told us when they first did it, that he was gonna get them at the end, and surely it's going on now. My daughter lost her job as a sheriff behind it, and he forged records on my daughter. I mean, it's just been a mess. But when I tell you, we ain't letting up.
You would think that was one of those, like, Benjamin Crump or Crump.
Ben Crump. But he got so much going on with all this police brutality going on in America.
He's so busy. But it's horrible, and domestic violence.
I mean, have you ever, like, told them your story, though? Like,
who?
Benjamin Crump.
No.
Well, Benjamin Crump, if you listening to this, I need everybody out there to tag Benjamin Crump. What's the name of his law firm? He needs to know about this. We need him on this case.
Yeah. He is a busy man being.
Because I'm telling you, it's huge, and I mean, it's a lot of people that's involved. I even lost my grandbaby in the process because of, I didn't lose them because we still fighting. It's like it ain't over. But now we're in federal court because so many laws have been broken, and these people are standing up for each other. You know what I'm saying? So we're in federal court right now. Trying to get justice for my son and my grandbaby. They lied. The judge wasn't even supposed to be on the bench. Girl, they sent in false paperwork to the others. No, it was Judge Naiman.
Oh, Naiman, okay.
Yeah, when I say it's horrible, it's like a monster case. I ain't never seen nothing like it before. I didn't know people was able to even do this type of stuff, and they're not, but they have been getting away with it. But it's all coming to a head because we at a point now that they can't run. It's like they trap. Like, what can we do now? Who can we? You have to answer. Eventually, you broke these laws, and you have to prove that you didn't break them. You see what I'm saying? So they will be, if not already, which I'm thinking that they are, but they under federal investigation for these charges because it's like racketeering, fraudulent evidence, tampering with evidence, withholding evidence, all kind of stuff. And I mean, the list is long.
A lot of times, like Domestic Violence Month, we focus on women, but there are a lot of men.
Oh man, what you say?
That have suffered.
He
are
didn't
still
want her.
living in domestic violence situations.
He didn't want her, and she was like a man. She wasn't even.
She masculine energy.
Yeah, and I mean, she was the bully of Mobile. Like, nobody wanted her around. She had been put out her house because she had been bullying the neighborhood. I mean, she was like a menace. She had beat up an old lady. She was in and out of jail because I had my grandbaby all the time because she stayed in and out of jail, and they literally turned on my son for this girl. It was horrible. I never seen nothing like it before in my life, but it's gonna come to a head soon. Yeah, she lied.
You got to pick the right mate. You know what I'm saying? I'm 46, never had any kids, never, been engaged with anyone because I'm very, like, I guess you could say picky. If I see a red flag, I'm gonna let you go. Yeah. Cause I don't have time for no domestic violence, no jail time, no court dates and all that old crap. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you something too. It's sad because the detective who came to the hospital scene and wrote all of this stuff up, he was at the hospital and they literally told him that didn't happen, and he didn't press charges, but they coerced with her and got her to come in later to press those charges. Used a whole nother detective to do it. But the detective in the beginning is the one came to court and testified, lied to the jury, and told them that this girl had brain fragments and blood all over her car seat, all over the back of her car. But how could you have brain fragments and blood all over your car, but yet you was released from the hospital in 3 hours?
With a laceration.
That's impossible.
Of laceration.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right there.
It said a laceration to her scalp. She didn't get stitches, only a bandage, and it was a scrape. And why would it be on the same site as you already been shot on? Come on now.
And they sentenced him to 25 years behind a lie?
And she didn't even get killed. These people getting 5 and 10 years for murder. This is his first time even committing or having a felony. 25 years.
What kind of lawyer did your son have?
He had it was Joshua Briskman was his lawyer, and he was a paid lawyer. And he's supposed to be a very good lawyer, but he went along with them because they ended up the day of my son's trial. They psyched him up in the courtroom. When he got in the courtroom, the judge, which was Judge Young Peter, they took him off the bench. When they took him off the bench, they put on a retired judge, was Judge Stout. Judge Stout didn't have the proper, what he needed to try that case. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't never supposed to heard it. And they acted like all of the other judges had, they got off the case. Like they had, recused themselves is what they said. But that was impossible because you can't take nobody to trial and say, hey, your judge ain't going to be here. You're supposed to reset that case because it's supposed to be a high-profile case. And they didn't do that. But Judge Young Peter was walking in and out the courtroom.
And you've never thought about, like, talking to a civil rights lawyer before?
The ones that I have, they hadn't helped me.
Everybody.
And it go back to...
At Benjamin Crump. In the comment section, wherever you are, share it to his page.
Back to
email them.
I'm telling you, it's because there's so many lawyers and judges tied up in this. It's maybe about 15.
You don't need a lawyer from here.
Right. It's maybe about 15, including 3 judges.
That's why I thank God that I'm not caught up in this system because this is a wicked system.
What you say?
You know what I'm saying? It's
and
still based on slavery and slavery. Because when they lock you up, you working for pennies an hour. And
then, like, my son filed a Rule 52 against the district attorney, claiming that he had beat his wife and he was just in Baldwin County Jail, and he stayed there for over 24 hours. So you don't have the right to come in this courtroom and do anything. And instead of them ruling on that, the Alabama State Board took the district attorney's side. But in court, if you file something like that, they supposed to take that district attorney off that case and add somebody else, and they didn't do that. Even with the judge, if you recuse yourself from a case, you can't come back and try that person on no case. So he came back and retried my son on another case and gave him a life sentence, running wild from the 25 years. All illegal.
Yeah,
and so we hired.
We
paid this lady another $13,000 cash.
Wow.
And she messed the case up again. Did the same exact thing, but this time I was on her and I caught her. You know, I caught her red-handed with everything she was doing.
So does he have another attorney now?
No, we in federal court. I filed it myself. You know, instead of trying to keep giving them money to go behind my back and work with them, you know, I know the law. So therefore, I'm going to put them to use. And that's what I did. So they have to answer to these charges, like, why did y'all do this? Why did y'all do that? And I sent them to the federal prosecutor.
Or even Kim Kardashian, you know, she's done a lot to help people in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It's just messed up how crooked this justice system is. You know, they get away with they get away with all kind of, you know, things, and that's why it's good not to be caught up in this system. Mm-hmm. Think twice before you do something you know is illegal, you know, and don't think you're going to get away with it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, anything illegal, because people that look like us, they want to lock us up and put us back in slavery. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Once they put you behind those bars, you're working for pennies an hour. The Alabama now has a lawsuit against them because they got people that's been on work release working for Wendy's, Golden Corral, and they work them like a dog because they know they can. And if you don't work, they would like penalize you. Alabama is the lowest when it comes to getting people out parole in the nation. So that tells you right there that Alabama
it's a trap.
It really is.
And I'm telling you, those judges, they know those people be wrong, and they still allow it. It's like they do it. Just see the paperwork. Okay, we're gonna deny it. We're gonna deny it. We're gonna deny it. We're gonna deny it. And these court-appointed attorneys, if you have a court-appointed attorney, they literally write your appeal up as saying it ain't nothing. The court did everything right.
I got a name from them public pretenders.
And it's horrible because before I got my son this lady again, I read what the other attorney wrote up. And I was like, are you serious? She's basically telling the appeals court that the folks did everything right. The judges did everything right.
That's sad.
I mean, it's a no-win when it comes to our young black men. Serious. And you have to have somebody that's really going to stand up for them. So just imagine how many mothers and stuff that really don't have this education and
the money.
Yeah.
You know,
and even if you got the money, because we had it and still going through this.
Still going.
You know, it's a matter of if they want you, they're gonna put together and get you. You know, because what they was mad at my son because he had already beat them with 3 Class A felonies, and they was mad about that.
So this right here was the icing on the cake for them to, the domestic
that's
violence
why they
charge.
did. Yeah, that's why they did what they did, and they put the charges together on him. Basically, they didn't do with grand jury and the indictments and stuff. They put all that together. It wasn't a such thing as 14 people came around the table and said, "Hey, what evidence do we have? What happened?" None of that stuff. None of it. They even used the old picture of him for a lineup picture. They didn't even get a new lineup picture. Say, "Hey, is this the person?" They used one from the charges that he beat. Like they was trying to be funny about it. We got you this time because this girl was willing to come in here and lie. And on the paperwork, she said my son shot her in the front of the head and don't even have a bullet or a scratch in the front of her head. The hospital paperwork said she had a laceration at the top of her head in the same spot. And I have a family member that works for I forgot the name of it, but she get all the injuries. When somebody have a serious head injury, it comes to her. And my cousin said she went on the list. So if you have a serious head injury in Alabama, they have a list that you're on, and for a certain group of people have to follow up with you and stuff. And she said she was not on that list at all. So
pretty much the justice system had a vendetta for him.
Right.
Yeah, you gonna beat these charges, but you ain't gonna beat this one.
Right.
That's crazy.
And we're gonna make sure you don't beat it because we're going to put this team together and we're gonna find you guilty. So that's why they brought this judge in that was retired. He came in for 2 things only. It's one, to find him guilty, and for the second thing is give him a sentence that he knew was improper. And if it came back on it, then I'll take the fall because I'm a retired judge. The judge was a sitting judge. He didn't want to take that fall because he was the highest judge in Mobile County. And a lot of people don't even realize right now he's not even the highest judge anymore. I don't know what happened. It could be some of this mess, with the federal courts. But now he's a regular residing circuit court judge, and Wesley Pipes is the presiding judge now. So God is working. And I told him from the beginning, they know me personally. God don't play by me. He don't play by my kids. If he did something, we'll have to send him some snack money. It is what it is. He did the crime. He got to do the time. But putting a case together on somebody, you can't do that. That's illegal. Right. You falsifying documents, letting a witness get on the stand and and don't beat this. She went to his lawyer and signed an affidavit saying he did not do it. She signed a notarized affidavit saying that this boy did not shoot her. Yes.
And he still got 25 years?
Yes.
That's crazy.
And the reason why they said that they didn't use the affidavit in court is because she had been shot in the head, so they don't know. But mind you, she's the one that went to the police department and put the warrant and said, he shot me and I want him locked up. But then you go back and say, he didn't shoot me.
Well, why did you have a change of heart all of a sudden?
I don't know, because probably she knows she was lying.
But at the same time, she should have got arrested for lying.
Oh, my bad. The reason why she changed her mind is what I found out is the district attorney offered her $35,000 in victims' compensation money because her son and her was homeless. So that's what happened. That's what she wanted the money because she had got put out of her apartment for bullying the neighborhood. So he offered her money to go along with the case. Is what happened. So, yeah.
The Department of Justice just needs to come down here and just do a clean sweep down here. You know what I'm saying? Not only Mobile County, I'm sure it happens in Baldwin County as well. And that's one of the reasons I don't go to Baldwin County but probably 3 times out the year. You know, because those people over there.
And next week, we will be protesting. We will be outside protesting. Okay. And because we are in the middle of this battle with his federal lawsuit, and justice need to be served. I mean, these cases need to be investigated.
Absolutely.
You know? They need to be investigated.
The Department of Justice need to come down here and investigate.
Right, because that judge, when he seen that girl signed that affidavit, that case supposed to have been thrown out. And for you to get on there and let her testify and say she don't know who shot her, because she testified to what was on the affidavit. She said, I don't know who shot her. I don't know who shot me. But the arrest warrant says that you signed, says I want him in jail because he shot me in my head. That's what you wrote. So how, if you wrote this and put a warrant out for his arrest, how can you come back and say, I want him, he didn't shoot me? You got on the stand and testified to this. How could you do that?
Perjury.
Right.
She should have got locked up.
And they let her perjure and didn't do anything about it.
That's so backwards. That's
horrible.
So backwards.
But God work in mysterious ways.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and he allowed certain things to happen because what I saw, and I'm very spiritual, is I saw this judge, he had to come back. A judge Stout had to come back. God sent for him personally. When God do something, he do it. He don't half step. So he sent for Judge Stout to come back. And I was asking God about this, but I could see this belt tied up. And it was tied tight around this big white coat. And these children and these families was crying out to God. And it's like he had all these people in his belt that he illegally sentenced or carelessly sentenced. And these mothers was praying for their children. And you can hear the children crying and you can hear the mothers praying. So God sent for him. He going down. He going down. That's a guarantee. You know, so God gave us that message the day it happened. And he said, they don't know what I think about y'all. He said, but at the end, I'm going to have them in confusion and I'm going to crush them. This is them his exact words, and I still stand on what he said. And today is going down. I'm telling you, it ain't what it think. I done seen a lot of them being moved and switched around, and not even to mention how the school system did this baby. Her name was Destiny Creighton. I had this child, right? Her mom was smoking crack with her, crack cocaine. And the Department of Human Resources, her name is Shantae Webb. She's a supervisor for the Department of Human Resources. This woman literally sabotaged me from getting my grandson by using this baby mental status. She had a teacher at the school telling this baby things to make her act out to try to get her to go to Bay Point Hospital. Telling her people were saying stuff to her and making her yell out at people. And they like, what's she yelling for? But the teacher got her desk pulled up on side of her, telling her people is saying things to her to make her act out. Because everybody was bragging about this child and how good she was doing. And they was trying to discredit me from getting my grandbaby. They ain't have no other way to do it. And they still don't have no way to do it. So what they did was use this child that I had was through DHR to try to sabotage her, you know, to make it look like, oh, she ain't no good person, or this girl ain't doing no better. I had the doctors sign letters saying that this baby made 100% improvement. When Bay Point Hospital got this child, they said they didn't even know who she were because of how she had improved. I can show you before pictures and after pictures. You'll be like, oh my God, is this really her? She was in church. She was getting mentoring every Wednesday to church. The lady who was mentoring her was an ex-DHR supervisor. I didn't even know that. And she had her, and she was ministering to her, getting her ready to be baptized. And I was wondering why, if this baby sitting in this setting with all these people in this classroom at church, you know, why is she not acting out here, but as soon as she go to the school, she acting a fool? So one particular day, I kept her home, and I wanted to pinpoint it. So I began to pray to God and ask her, God, where's this coming from? So when I sent her back, they called me and they say, hey, this child is acting out, you know, she's doing this or whatever. So I got her on the phone. I said, hey, what's going on? She said, a boy kept messing with me, talking about me, calling me names and stuff. And I said, what boy? And she told me his name. And I said, well, what did you do? She said, I didn't do nothing. She said, my teacher, Miss Frazier, told me what he was saying about me. So I asked the Bay Point, the lady who was on the phone, I said, do you hear what this baby saying? This baby is literally saying that this teacher is telling her what to say.
Wow.
It was horrible. I had never seen her like it before in my life. So DHR will literally take a child and sabotage their child.
Yeah,
and I'm not giving up until she is removed.
Well, I pray everything work out in
It
that
will.
situation. Absolutely. Well, we about to wrap it up. Before we leave, I want to talk about the Alabama Hip Hop Radio Halloween Bash going down October the 19th. Doors open at 8 p.m. It will be at Moments Event Center, 4805 Moffett Road. Best dressed costume. We will have a cash prize. It's BYOB. We ask that you bring no ice and chasers. We will take care of you on that part right there. DJ October and DJ Snoop will be the DJ, and be hosted by Punkin Westry. And I want to know if you have any last words, Trish?
I would just say, if anybody out there is suffering with domestic violence, one, you don't have to suffer in silence. Number two, it's quality over quantity, like I say now. Don't worry about how long you've been in your relationship. Don't worry about what people are going to say. Don't worry about how it's going to make you look. And women, please, by all, do what you have to do to educate yourself, work, and make sure you have some money so that if you need to get out of a situation,
you
have the means to do so.
Right.
That's the most important thing, is have a way out. And do not worry, like I said, about what anybody has to say about your happiness.
Right.
Well, thank you, Trish, for coming on the show. This has been very monumental.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you to my co-host Bama Rose, and this has been Fortified Live Podcast, the people's platform, keeping real and mobile. And I am your host, J-45, Miss Keisha, see everything pretty, the host of the Gulf Coast, the Alabama hippie, east of the mighty muddy Mississippi. It's hammer time. Bow! Thanks for tuning in. G all.